UKLC is presented by Barclays and Curry's PC World.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally heading towards the fourth game of the night. Munster Rugby Gaming Academy versus Bulldog Esports. Both teams a little bit mired by some poor results over the last few weeks. I would say Bulldog more so than Munster, and because of that, the biggest change that we're going to see here for Bulldog is a new jungler, someone who has had experience in the UK scene. I remember casting him years ago during one of the other Premiership tournaments. It's Demo coming back into the jungle, finally making a return to pro play. He'll be coming into the jungle for Bulldog.
And I honestly think this is a great adjustment for the roster. I think ultimately my biggest concerns with Bulldog were Fortal, the former jungler, and Kera. I think Kera has had some rough games, but on the right matchups or picks, he can be good. But I think Fortal was just really struggling. This wasn't the jungler they used in the qualifiers where they made it into the UKLC, and he wasn't working for them. They're 0-4 right now, as Barrage were, but they obviously got that win earlier. But the change here has been the introduction of Demo. I think it's also a good meta for him. He's typically been heavily around denying the enemy jungler, efficient pathing. Things like Nidalee are big picks for him, and I'm sure he'll be proficient on the Grave. So that's what I'm very much expecting from this lineup. And I ultimately feel like, for me, Bulldog as a roster, it was kind of like the rest of the team was decent. And I think if a jungler could really sort of bring them together and let the other players shine.
Obviously, for Munster Rugby Gaming Academy, they're 2-2 right now. It's a team that's had sort of essentially even Stevens all the way through. They won, lost, they won, lost. They lost to M&M and London, and they've beaten Barrage previously. They've beaten Barrage and they've beaten Enclave so far. So those are the two wins that Munster Rugby Gaming Academy have got under their belt. And actually, we remember talking to BB Muffin, Diva, really the player that a lot of people point towards on this roster as being the standout performer. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's really where Munster Rugby Gaming Academy shine?
Yeah, I think Diva's been a pleasant surprise. We've seen him before in the UKLC, but never really able to establish himself at the top. But right now, I think he's looking really consistent, really good. I think No Name is a really good up-and-coming jungler, quite young, and him and Diva are a real strong duo. Bot lane's been a little bit more hit or miss, had some good performances, had some not so good, but I will credit that I like that Blue Spirits is willing to play mages. We haven't really seen that from many other AD carries in this league. They will just stick to the marksman, but he has been willing to bring out, the Syndra, which alleviates that as a flex and gives you strength in that. So that's one of the positives. I am still sort of concerned a little bit about DBL in the top lane. I don't think he's been a strong performer. And for me, I think Kera into DBL could be a little bit volatile because both of them have had bad games. If they do come out ahead of the matchup, though, I could see one of them like stomping the other, just because if one has a bad day, then the other could really capitalize on that. We'll have to see. But the matchup I am most hyped for by far is definitely this jungle matchup. We have a sort of long-time name in the UK scene who's come and go quite a few times in Demo. And then we have No Name, who is young talent, looking to prove himself, first split in the UKLC, and probably hasn't even seen Demo play really, or well, maybe what I've seen him play, but hasn't had a chance to actually competing against him. And this is that opportunity. So I'm pretty hyped to see how this will go down. I think obviously picks will be a big dependency on the matchup, and obviously how your team facilitates you. But I'm really going to be focused on the jungle matchup this game.
Yeah, what do we think that Demo brings to Bulldog that they previously didn't have? Like Demo's playstyle, I always remember him, the first time I ever saw him, he played Lee Sin and he absolutely crushed in his opening games. I can't remember who he was playing for back then, but I think you were still playing at the time. I think you were actually on XL when Demo had his first split. What is it that Demo's playstyle brings to Barrage that will help them out here?
I feel like Demo is very much a momentum-based player in the sense that if you're ahead, he will capitalize on that and he will crush you. If he's behind, though, he can feel a little bit lackluster. I think Demo is the sort of player that he will find ways to get himself ahead, and when it's successful, he will keep pushing that and it will feel like you're being choked out. The issue comes if the enemy team manages to mitigate him, then he can start to feel a little bit weaker, and which is why I think draft will be so important, because if he does end up in an unfavorable matchup, or if he ends up without the priority he needs with his team, you could see him having a rough debut for this split. But if he manages to get his hands on a good matchup, I could definitely see him running away with this game. And ultimately, I think Bulldog needed someone like that, because I think Fortal just, I was struggling to see him make the impact really at all in his games so far. It wasn't. I don't know exactly how to word it, but it wasn't what you typically want from your jungler. He wasn't able to apply enough pressure, and yeah, definitely tried at times. There was that Nidalee game, which was pretty good, but ultimately it wasn't enough to get the team over the line, especially since it didn't really sync well with the comp. I think that's another issue that kind of Bulldog have struggled with, where the synergy between the composition hasn't always been sort of optimal for them.
Sure. Well, we are ready for drafts, so we're going to go to a quick break. When we're back, we'll dive into that draft between our two remaining teams this evening. Welcome back, everybody. We are diving into the last game, rather, of the night here at the UKLC. We're in to pick some bans between Munster Rugby Gaming and Bulldog. Bulldog obviously making that switch in the jungle with Demo coming in. Set will be the first ban, followed up by Syndra, again, respecting that flexibility that it has between D.Va and especially Blue Spirits. And we're actually going through these bans pretty quickly. The Trundle coming through. I wonder whether they are actually trying to take a target towards Demo here.
Well, I think the jungle matchup's super important, so it doesn't surprise me too much that it is being targeted. Trundle, a lot of dueling power and pressure in the early levels. Graves going to be answered by Bulldog. So Barris actually a blue side ban, a little bit interesting, and Demo really looking to show that he wants to challenge No Name here, removing his Rek'Sai as well. This has got to be something that's premeditated just a plan to deny as much as possible from No Name. So Aphelios is going to be the first pick for Blue Spirits. Answer is going to be the Wukong, and then a quickly Sin for Demo. Very much a signature pick of his. You said it yourself. You've seen him just demolish on that champion. And obviously Rek'Sai is typically what you see as a good counter. Gragas is another option, but hasn't really reared his face as much in the current meta.
Wonder whether we'll see that from No Name this time round. Again, like I said, Demo, that's the pick that I've always associated with him. High aggression, very sort of keen on finding the 1v1s in the early game, keen on finding the early ganks. That's always the kind of play style that I've associated with Demo. You know, the more kind of like solo queue orientated, really just looking to make moves on the map as much as physically, as much as he can. It's going to be a Thresh lock in here, so we're going to have Thresh Aphelios, and we're going to wait to see what the pick for No Name, or rather anybody, will be for Munster Rugby Gaming Academy.
think they might just end up going for the Gragas in this matchup with Rek'Sai down, and also the fact you want to provide peel for your Aphelios. Already, you have the Aphelios hyper carry. You have two great champions who can provide that CC and disengage. So good protection for the Aphelios, and Thresh in particular into Lee Sin is a great matchup. Causes him a lot of issues. Now, Senna going to be the pickup for Bulldog. So can pair that up with the Wukong and apply pressure from that. We've seen it from Mad Lions. Still open as a flex and available. And it just makes things tricky to predict because it could go top lane for Kara. They could put Tom Kench bot lane to keep the center safe. There's a lot of options currently available for Bulldog. Whereas with Munster, you know almost definitely where every single champion has gone. The Gragas could be flexed, but it is a little bit unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's something that we haven't seen too much of, is that the sort of the willingness for a team at the UKLC level to kind of play this kind of style of draft. Like we said, we've seen this pop up specifically a couple of times into the what's this draft usually picked into? The Varus, right? We usually see it picked into the Varus for the most part. Looks there's going to be some mid lane targeting coming through the Zoe and the LeBlanc. LeBlanc. I've said that. I literally said that the weirdest way I've ever said LeBlanc. LeBlanc. It's going to be those two band away here. So some targeting towards Diva, you can't help but feel, but also it's a couple of shots fired towards Thomas with the Azir band too.
Absolutely is. And essentially, I think the suggestion is that Zoe and LeBlanc can cause a lot of pressure for some of these mages. And the response from Munster is, right, you want to have safety for your mages, we're just going to ban them away. Currently, Corki still open and available. Normally you see Corki, Azir, and Orianna talked about as these sort of big ones, but we're going to see the Volibear locked in, so going to be Wukong, Senna, bot, almost definitely. Volibear in the top lane, and now Munster have to answer with their solo laners in this situation.
I think the bans of Azir and Orianna made sense because they are just probably the two best blind pick mid laners that we've got in the meta right now, at least the ones that are sort of have the versatility to be included in lots of different styles of composition. So I think this makes sense. It's going to be a Darius being locked in for DBL. We have not seen a Darius for quite some time. I think the last time I saw Darius played, Rifty was playing it, and that was last year sometime. And we're going to see what the mid lane pickup will be here for Diva.
I mean,
Corki, like you said, is on the cards.
Oh, I actually like this. So they're going to go for the Chef as well. It's seen a sort of a lot of popularity. The stun potential from this mid jungle really threatening, sets up the rest of the team, and it allows them to play for their side lanes. You have an Aphelios in the bot lane, perfect to play for. You have a Darius in the top lane, even better. And I think the Darius and the Volibear makes sense. Volibear likes these extended trades. He likes to be getting in melee range. You can't do that against a Darius. It's going to get rounded out for Bulldog with the Cassiopeia. They definitely needed some magic damage. This is a lot of it. And the Miasma is a useful tool. I also think specifically into TF, it's a good matchup because you have similar ranges, but the thing is TF has sort of limited, like he has a rotation. You know, TF throws his card, throws his wild cards. Cassiopeia doesn't. She just continues to spam poison. So if you do get in range of her, it is going to be a little bit rough.
I mean, you don't pick TF for the 1v1. You pick TF's ability to influence the map, right? And whereas Cassiopeia, she's excellent in 1v1 scenarios.
And she definitely challenge you, yeah.
Exactly. And plus a lot of shorter range carries, you know, like the Darius, the Thresh, the Gragas. The Cassiopeia, you heard BB Muffin talk about it. You know, she has good role. You know, she's a good pickup into certain matchups. And it really, but except for the Aphelios, Cassiopeia in these team fight situations is going to get a lot of work done.
Yeah, completely. And it gives you a big scaling element for the later stages, something that can potentially match up to the Aphelios. Remember, this is just an Aphelios, not an Aphelios Lulu, so not going to be as much of a threat in the later stages of the game, combined with the fact that you have, you know, your Darius, your Gragas, these melee range champions who are going to struggle to find a way in against a Cassiopeia. Ultimately, I like the draft from both sides. I think they both have sort of strong aspects, strong elements. I think I would like to see Bulldog in particular just try and capitalize around mid lane. If you punish the Twisted Fate, very easy to shut down Munster's plan. Because I think top lane less so, but bot lane, they can be pretty self-sufficient and come out ahead in this 2v2.
My worry for Bulldog is that Darius left unchecked into most top lane matchups, that's going to be painful. That's going to be a real issue for Kara. And you specifically said, Dan, that this top lane, that could be big for either team. If one of the top laners gets a significant advantage, you can just see it snowballing like crazy. And I think with the Darius here, that's definitely looking like a Munster Rugby Gaming kind of advantage to look for.
Yeah, completely. Well, looks like we could see them trying to get nearly advantage from now with an invade. They have the stun card available. Goodbye, Kara.
Kara just sees it and he backs off. Doesn't burn the flash here. Good patience. Definitely could have been very bad, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Giving an early kill to that Darius would be huge. And that's the thing. It's whether the Darius can become big enough to run over with a game. If you can be solo killing Kara in the side lane is the big factor, because ultimately not going to be the most effective in team fights. It's actually hard to maneuver around team fights when you have so much CC afforded to Bulldog and so much peel. Senna, especially when she's going to have that frozen mallet, is just the bane of these sort of melee champions' life when she's consistently applying those slows. And you're not going to have good targets because ultimately Jacob is going to be tanky with the current Grasp of the Undying plus Black Cleaver frozen mallet build. And Cassiopeia, as far as mages go, does end up building a lot of HP.
We're going to keep our eyes peeled on the bot lane as well. Like you said, it's a pause. It is a pause. We'll get some information on why that is, hopefully as soon as physically possible. Hopefully it won't be a pause that goes on for too long either. Okay, we've got bot side starts for both No Name and Demo. What do you expect them to do in terms of their early pathing? Where do you expect them to exert their influence in the early game? We're back into game already.
So could potentially see them pathing towards top side and trying to make the impact there. A gank on either side would be devastating because Snowball and the Darius is huge, but also if you manage to kill the Darius, then he's essentially going to have to walk back to lane. He has no teleport. But I think for the most part, the reason they're starting bot side is because they wanted a leash from the bot lanes. They want that extra advantage in that early start because both of these junglers looking to capitalize as much as they can on the matchup. I feel like junglers are going to be hugely important in this game, not just because of what I talked about with the players, but also the picks that have come out.
Kara's immediately getting locked into an engage. Forced to flash. DBL already looking to take names in this top side of the map.
Not sure you need a flash there in all honesty. Kara's bite was coming up soon, and when you use that again, you get a heal. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know Darius gets a ton of attack damage from stacking up his passive, but I still think you could have held your nerve there for a little bit longer. Get the second bite off, heal up. If he chases you under a tower, you can bait him with a flash. Right now, you're just sort of trading down summoners. Yes, DBL being his ghost, but obviously that is a shorter cooldown than the flash.
Bot lane as well. Blue Spirit's taking a bit of damage here, but it's all looking like a good start for the Munster Rugby Gaming Academy roster. Kara now going to be a target, and Demo working his way up through into this brush here. He should be able to get in relatively uninterrupted, but the wave's just not in a good position for Demo to look for a gank.
Wasn't for the gank, though. The critical thing there was allowing Kara to get the wave to crash. Because obviously, if you end up having the wave frozen there by DBL, it's really scary because you have to overextend so heavily. You're flashless against a Darius and a Gragas with flash. It's just never a good situation to be in. So Demo's seeing what he needs to do, shows up in the top lane, allows Kara to crash the wave, and just going great. So good start. John, good awareness for Demo in this game.
It's been quiet though, I mean, apart from that early flash from Kara, relatively quiet so far. If you are Munster Rugby Gaming Academy, and especially if you're No Name, do you try and abuse that? Do you try and look to get DBL rolling on this Darius pick, kind of sacrifice other areas of the map and try to influence that particular matchup? Or do you just let DBL do his thing, knowing that he has that flash now, he can probably look for the 1v1?
I think if you see an opportunity, you can go for it. But I think you kind of want to wait for D.Va to have level 6, because then you're guaranteeing you're having the advantage in that scenario. Even if the fact that Thomas Go is teleport, it's going to be so much quicker with the Destiny.
Jacob just a little bit too hungry for that soul, and immediately Jeppe gets the ignite onto him. He's going to be forced to flash away. Demo's here, though. What a brilliant counter gank First blood comes through, and now they're going to go on to Blue Spirits. D.Va has made his way down, and with No Name here as well, he should be able to stop anything extra going down. The Demo gets locked up, does go down to D.Va eventually, maybe just a little overextension. And it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall.
Yeah, it could have been really good there for Bulldog if they managed to burn the TP from D.Va and then not overcommit more. But it was actually just a little bit too far. You got to expect No Name to turn up, and Demo ends up getting taken down. This now means with jungle advantage, they're willing to start up this dragon. Pings are coming out, though. It looks like they might contest this. Kara could TP in here. They don't have a ward available, though. It looks like it's going to go down in time.
Blue Spirits is very low here. No Name looking to smite it out. Although Demo gets in, can't quite land the smite himself. Doesn't want to commit. Oh, gets dragged out from the hook on Jeppe. That was nice there.
Oh, my heart, honestly. When he went in on that, I saw No Name and Blue Spirits on such low HP. I was like, they're gone, they're gone. And then just a beautiful hook from Jeppe to interrupt that. Tense game, but ultimately, Munster get the dragon, they get out. And the only consolation prize Demo can take is some jungle camps being stolen away.
We're either going to have a Cloud or an Infernal Soul this game here, with the next Drake being the Ocean. So, which do you think each team wants? Both, I guess Infernal is probably the most universally applicable in every scenario, right?
Yeah.
Big pause. Yeah.
Yeah, just contemplating it.
Very even game though so far, as you can see. Looks like there's some crowding on the top side of the map here. I imagine that we might see an earlier rotation from Munster Rugby Gaming to go for a Rift Herald. They do have the advantage on the top side of the map right now. DBL is in a strong position. So it really feels like the Rift Herald should be Munster Rugby Gaming's to lose.
Yeah, in fairness, and they have priority bot lane, so they could definitely go for a swap. But good connection there from Demo.
It's a good start. I've been impressed. Demo's impressing to begin with. You know, they wanted someone more proactive in the jungle. They wanted someone to make moves early on. And he is already off to a proactive start here for Munster Rugby Gaming. Thomas is struggling, though, into this matchup versus D.Va.
In fairness, I think a lot of that damage was from the Gragas, so they went for a gank on him, and then Demo comes in to turn it around. Obviously, is still very low, but he should be able to pick up this farm. Will lose a plate in return, but I don't think D.Va really wants to dive against the threat of even just the miasma. The slow can be enough to sort of pin you down.
Thomas is just moving up a little bit further. Demo will connect here, but he knows that the gold card is there and will not go much further. Can't really see where the rest of the Munster Rugby Gaming Academy roster is. And he's just there to help Thomas push that wave out and support him in getting a decent-ish back.
That's the important thing. And we do see the bot lanes have swapped towards the top side of the map. Was a little bit expected to play towards his Herald. And there is a big wave being picked up now by Blue Spirits. Just trying to equalize a little bit of a CS disadvantage where Girish has been able to pull ahead. Just the pressure this center Wukong camper out is pretty huge.
Wave is just being frozen by Blue Spirits, though. Maybe just allowing No Name to set up for a potential move on the top side of the map. Yeah, I think he has already started up the Rift Herald, though. I can kind of see him hovering around that Rift Herald area. And he is, and no one really contesting him. Demo's currently doing Krugs. Kera now toe-to-toe with DBL. DBL has used that ultimate, but it's a 1-for-1 at the end of the day there.
Actually finishes him off with the lightning in the end. That was really close. Yeah, just credit to Kera for bringing it back, considering there was a bit of a gold advantage for DBL. And he did have the ghost as well as the flash, although obviously didn't really come in there. Got him with a dying breath, so as much as I said one of these top laners could just dominate each other, it looks like pretty evenly matched so far.
Yeah, I mean, we imagined and we predicted the CS discrepancy to be in favor of DBL just because of the way this matchup feels like it should go. Thomas, though, this is the surprise. I mean, D.Va's just really winning out here. Demo immediately finds an engage onto Jeppe as they're all separated out. There comes the Cyclone, taken very low. Girish now forced to dive away. Should survive with the shield from Demo. and Munster Rugby Gaming Academy are going to drop the Herald mid. This is probably going to result in mid lane tier 1 going down. Or it'll be close to.
Well, just came from the TF trying to chase Girish, but Girish flashes away. So I actually think because of that, they can defend. I mean, TF isn't here. He tried to chase a kill instead.
They're trying pretty hard to push this one down, but the wave clear from Thomas is coming out now. Ultimate comes through from Aphelios, but yeah.
It becomes so tanky. If you take multiple plates and you have people grouped there, it gets extra resistances for every person. So it just becomes so incredibly tanky to kill. And there's just well enough damage for Bulldog to clear out the wave. So they do get the gold. They do get some damage on the mid lane tower, but it does survive. Now, 10 seconds till this next dragon. And yep, a little bit unfortunate. I think Thomas Go really wanted that blue buff.
It's alright, Demo's the real carry, mate. He needs the blue buff.
I'm hoping it was a mistake. I'm assuming it was a mistake, you know, not just being like...
No, you've got to assume it's a mistake.
Oh, you're 20 CS down on Twisted Fate? My blue buff.
Oh dear, they're going to go straight on to Blue Spirits in the bot lane. Demo, though, is going to be forced to back away as Jeppe has made his way down. Still, you are seeing a very active jungler. Demo's trying his best to have his influence felt across the map by taking the blue buff too.
See, Munster grouping now for this dragon. And Chip Bulldog are going to want to give this one up because it's fine to give over 2. They're not really in position to contest it, but it's never a good feeling just to let an objective go essentially for free.
You can't really do much about it. I think you just weren't in a position to contest it though right here.
No, I think the reset timings are a little bit awkward. Munster were back on the map sooner to get vision control, and just you can't walk into it blind. Now, it will be a Cloud Soul, and as much as I typically say that one isn't the most impactful, it's very situational depending on champs. And what I will say is that it is great on Darius.
Oh,
and also, it is great on Wukong. So those two champions love a Cloud Soul. And I think as well, with a lot of champions looking to threaten this backline, the movement speed can be a big factor in making a difference. So we'll see which team gets it, how big of a factor it is. Now still
mid lane
2 dragons away.
Yeah, this mid lane tier 1 is going to be the sore spot though for Bulldog. You can see the rest of Munster Rugby Gaming just grouping up around it. It's so close to going down. Demo's sitting on the sidelines, but obviously Cassiopeia does take turrets very quickly. It's still quite a subdued affair. I mean, it's a very small gold lead to Munster right now.
I think it's just a difficult situation for Bulldog to really do anything. When the enemy team has a TF, it's hard to have agency. It's hard to force when you know he's just going to throw down the Destiny and come. Not only can he provide the vision to see where you are, but then just counteract any plays you're going for. So for now, they are just playing it a little bit slower.
Yeah, it's been a subdued bot lane as well. I mean, Girish and Jacob just trying to farm up best they can. And obviously, Girish has got quite a decent amount of gold in his back pocket. I'm interested to see how many souls Jacob has picked up. It really felt like he's been farming a significant amount. He's got 42 right now. That's a pretty good amount, I would say, for 13 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I mean, remember, you're going to get more, like, even when you're farming, you can get more from the recent change. It's now 8% instead of 1%, you were saying earlier. For Senna, when she takes the farm, well, obviously, for the most part, you're leaving it to Wukong.
Trying to figure out what the next move is going to be for both of these teams. Obviously, Rift Herald spawning moderately soon. But if you were either of these teams, what is your game plan for the next 5 minutes? Like, what are you aiming to do here?
I mean, Herald, lean towards the Herald, get vision control. If anyone overextends to try contest it, throw down the Destiny, go for a pick. Off the back of that, you can lean towards mid lane tower, and then you essentially translate the same sort of play towards the bot lane for the dragon. And it's just getting vision control, leaning to one side, forcing the enemy team to contest it and push in. And when they push in, you very easily can just look to engage and punish and find picks. For the side of Bulldog, though, it's just really mitigating that at the moment. You need to deny that dragon, but I think Blue Spirit's in trouble.
I think he's just dead here. Beautiful flash kick from Demo. They'll take that kill. And that will nicely set up the Rift Herald here. Lovely ultimate from Thomas. He's just trying to buy time to clear out these waves. Obviously, the immediate response from Munster Rugby Gaming Academy is to go for this mid lane tier 1. They should get it. I don't think there's going to be enough defense coming out, or at least from Girish moving over. If they can convert that into a Rift Herald, though, as well as maybe a top lane tier 1, they're not in a bad spot.
Fortunately, Kara being topside, though, does mean Darius is allowed to get some alone time, but with no TP, they can't really contest you. And I think that's the big thing with Bulldog, is that if you group up with your top laner, or I mean, no, sorry, without your top laner, if you group up, your top laner can always join you with this teleport. DBL is going to be unable to. They are now looking, throw Destiny down, look for this pick.
Yeah, now Diva's actually by himself here. Demo is looking for the teleport coming through, and that'll be enough to ward away the remainder of Munster Rogue. Oh, there's 2 teleports. They've both come into the lineup as the center ultimate comes through. Kera isolated there by the Gragas, and that's enough to ward Bulldog away. And in the meantime, as you just talked about, Darius with no teleport is just going to sit on the side lane.
3 teleports burned by Bulldog in that play, and for what? They already had the Herald. They were very close to their top tier 1 to getting out. They bring 2 teleports in, and Munster just disengage. And this is the power of these picks. Having the Gragas, having the Thresh, very easy to opt out of a fight if you want to. And it was just pretty rough to see for Bulldog. It felt like they were kind of clutching at straws there. Thought they saw an opportunity and just ended up burning all those TPs. And now DBL is essentially unchecked for the next, 5 minutes. While Kera waits for this teleport, he can just split push in the side, and if no one answers him, he takes towers. If someone answers him, well, okay, sure, but neither has TP, so it's not like... So his team can still force something on the other side of the map.
What are you feeling about... Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, Dragons spawned up, and both teams posturing for it, but feel free to go on.
The third dragon is definitely important, the one that you want to be looking to contest, and teleport is coming through immediately. Looks like Girish is waiting for a flank here as Diva is going to get hooked in. Girish will back away. Demo just immediately off the dragon already. I think almost Bulldog. Yeah, Bulldog not in the greatest spots as Jacob now forces himself out of the fight, and that's an immediate flash in by DBL, who misses the decimate here, and Girish is trying to trade back. Lots of damage coming out from Diva. They're going to be forced away from this dragon. I think they may even need to just give up this third. It's not the soul at the end of the day. You can lick your wounds and back off here as Demo's trying to find some play on the outside, and that's going to immediately Kera going in. Lots of damage there. Girish tries to follow up. Thomas, in the meantime, doing what he can alongside the Cyclone, and suddenly these fights starting to come out in favor of Bulldog, but it's still overall a pretty even fight across the board, and Blue Spirits dives over the wall. Now Thomas the target. Demo is basically single-handedly soloed out on the backside of that fight there, and DBL now looking to punish him for it. That was a bit all over the place, but it was Munster Rugby Gaming Academy who came out on top.
Yeah, just a massive advantage for them. No one was really dealing with Blue Spirits there, and Jacob just didn't have the sustained damage to keep going forwards. Very, very messy, and that was a 4v5 in favor of Bulldog. DBL had reset in that scenario, and yes, the HP bars were low for Bulldog. Even so, they opted into that. They thought they saw an opportunity, and they were just unable to find it.
Well, it is actually still Dragon up, with something that we didn't talk about, but that didn't actually go down in that fight. That was a messy fight, but it didn't go down. They're going to try and burst it with the Cassiopeia here. I don't think that Munster are going to be able to get into position quickly enough to contest this, and that will be a third Dragon denial here for Bulldog. So even at the end of that fight, they probably got what they wanted out of that scenario.
Yeah, definitely did. So they ensure that Munster aren't on soul point. They don't get to that precarious spot. So definitely good in that regard, but they're still down in gold. And this Aphelios is looking scary.
Okay, the question I was going to ask you before that dragon fight kind of opened up was, what do you think about scaling in this scenario? Like, if we're going to extend this game out, I mean, very few games have gone past the 30-minute mark tonight. They've all been relatively quick affairs. But if this game starts to scale out, who holds the advantage in your eyes?
You know, I think it'd probably be Munster in this scenario, because I think eventually Wukong's not going to be able to challenge Aphelios. I think Senna, as much as she's still got a lot of utility later, isn't going to be putting out as much damage as you'd like. Yeah, and I think Lee Sin loses a lot more relevance compared to Gragas. I feel like I'm favoring Munster, but I don't think it's super one-sided. I think Cassiopeia is going to be an issue. Senna, as much as he's not putting out a ton of damage, is still like hard to deal with in later stages. But I just think if Aphelios TF are really powerful, and Thresh, Gragas to facilitate them means I am leaning towards them. But it obviously depends how the team fights go. If backline access is achieved by Girish and Kara, then it can be a very different game.
DBL has just been sat in a side lane. I give credit to Kara. He's kept up with CS quite nicely here, even though it really feels like DBL has the edge in this matchup still. They are relatively even in terms of item spikes. And speaking of, we should take stock of where we are in terms of items right now. Twisted Fate, almost fully stacked on the Rod of Ages with the Lichbane finished as well. We've got a 1.5 items with the Zeal Infinity Edge there for Blue Spirits. The hook lands, and that will be an immediate attempt to take out Jacob. Girish just very, very, very precariously going in with the Cyclone here. Kara doing his best, trying to trade on to Blue Spirits, but this is a big fight for Munster Rugby Gaming Academy as Demo gets locked up by the gold card. Thomas, beautiful ultimate, but what can he get from it? The shutdown is there. The Diva will land the gold card, but this might be enough for Thomas to get out. It will not be. DBL picks up the kill. Big catch, big catch from Munster Rugby Gaming Academy because they're now going to shove down the mid lane.
Yeah, just huge from Jeppe there to open up that play. The rest of the team follows up, and ultimately, Thomas Go does make a bit of a hero play there, denying away the Baron from Munster because if they still had Blue Spirits, they probably would have gone towards it, but lacking his DPS, they opt away. Kind of got a little bit messy there for Bulldog. I think they just, you know, the fight was lost, and yet Girish went in, Demo went in, Thomas Go went in, and I understand that Thomas Go got a success out of it, and he was kind of forced to because he was channeling the TP, but it just felt like they were coming to a fight that was already just over because Jacob had gone down.
Gold lead now opened up to around 4,000. And it's already, you feel like Munster Rugby Gaming Academy is starting to get a grip on this game. Thomas is still doing relatively well. He's still 1,000 gold behind Diva right now, but you feel like he is starting to ramp up in terms of damage output.
Yeah, and you got to remember that Diva gets the extra gold income from his passive, so definitely factors there. Dragon in 1 minute. And that's going to be likely another place where these teams look to contest. Munster not confident enough to go for the Baron as of yet, but the Dragon securing the third will be pretty important.
How many souls is Jake?
Finished on Jacob. Yeah, that's
I was going to ask. I was going to see interested to see how many souls he's at now because we're 22 minutes into the game. And if he's nearing 80, he's in a
probably
really
past
good spot.
80. I would expect him to be close, maybe over, close to or over 100, maybe.
All right. Well, we'll wait to see if the observers can take a look at Jacob and we can see exactly where he sits in terms of souls. 62. Okay.
That's way lower than I expected.
All right. Maybe just been a little bit subdued in terms of soul gain. I guess because a lot of the fights have been around the neutral objectives, less so around the lanes where he's been able to farm them up.
Yeah. I think a lot of grouping as well obviously hits that. Normally see Senna just dot from lane to lane to pick the souls.
Good zoning out here by Munster Rugby Gaming Academy. They've established a good vision pool in the blue side jungle, and they're going to use that while shoving in Bulldog into their mid lane to get that third dragon of the game. That would have been Soul had they got that last dragon, but they did not. And that maybe is the silver lining for Bulldog. They still have a bit of time to be able to contest these neutral objectives.
See, Bulldog's response is just to fish around the Baron. Try and see if anyone contests, but Munster, they didn't even bother checking it. They're not expected to be done, so they just go for the reset. Now on Soul Point.
Well, I've got a few minutes until that's up. 4.5 or 4 minutes 20 to be exact. Very few towers have gone down for Bulldog as well. They've got none, actually. When I say very few, I mean they literally have no towers. This first...
0 is very few.
Yes, that's true. I mean, they might get their
they got
first
one.
in the game here.
It's something.
What I would say is that that is standing gold on the map, right? You look at the... I always kind of equate one tower to being roughly about, what, 800 gold for the team, something like that. So, that standing gold, should it go down, you know, that might help equalize out some of these item spikes and some of these disadvantages. Jacob, again, playing a very dangerous game, taunting Jeppe to go for the hook here. He does have that cleanse and flash available this time round, but you don't want to give it away for free.
Definitely not. And sometimes, even with those, it's not enough to get you out of a sticky situation. Especially if there's follow-up from the Gragas. So they'll just clear up the waves mid. Again, Bulldog choosing to play a bit of a slower game and hopefully wait for this Cassio to become a real menace.
DBL. He's looking pretty scary in a side lane right now. Kera quite clearly uncomfortable dealing with him in a 1v1. That's probably going to be the same throughout the entire game as Demo finds a kick onto Jeppe. He will eventually go down very low. Jeppe will drop to the poison here, and Thomas will start to trade them back. Kera now diving onto Blue Spirits, doing what he can to find the 1v1 as Girish immediately jumps in. The Cyclone might be available. He goes down. Wow, that's the burst coming out from Aphelios. They did not quite able to trade back in terms of damage output, and now Thomas.
Oh, there's
DBL. DBL is coming through, flashes straight on to Thomas, who will get dunked out. Blue Spirits picks that one up, and they should be able to go for the Baron.
It's a little bit of a messy fight engaged from there by Demo there. Not really sure what the game plan was. The Thresh survived so long with Aftershock coming in, and they just end up turning around. They try and chase for the kills, but Aphelios just does 200 years worth of things, and they ends up backfiring massively.
Well, they've converted 200 years worth of game designer experience right into a Baron. I'd call that a good trade.
You see Aphelios picking up almost every component of the Death Stance. This is where things get really scary, because you just don't have the damage to deal with him. I mean, only really the Cassiopeia is outputting enough damage to match up to Aphelios, and then you also have the Twisted Fate, who's consistently pumping out these huge damage stun cards, thanks to Lichbane as well. Like, Blue Spirits has to die. He just has to die if you're going to win this. But you're 8,000 gold down, a minute 30 till the Dragon Soul. Fortunately, this is leaning towards looking like a 5th loss with Bulldog, but there is still some hope, and really I'm looking towards Thomas Go, and right now look for an engage.
Yeah, DBL going to be the target. Demo trying to find a kick again. Nice ultimate, really big ultimate from Thomas Go right here, and Demo trying to set things up. Unfortunately, goes a little bit too ham once again, and now Girish is going to dive away here. They're going to go in with the ultimate. The Aphelios just does so much damage with that in the right scenarios. Kera not in a position to be able to respond. And again, Demo sets it up so well, but then just goes a little bit too ham. He goes too far, and they lose that advantage that they gained from the gank.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could have looked to disengage there, try to get out of that situation, taking the 1 kill. But I will say, ultimately, you're just stalling the Baron out. So they didn't really lose anything more than the kill. Can't complain too much, but Dragon is up in 30. Munster is setting to be ready for it. Death Stance now picked up on Blue Spirits. That is scary.
That is scary, especially because there are a couple of item spikes that are in the wings for Bulldog, but they have yet to be completed, as Kera now will run away from the encroaching no-name. Just trying to kind of get some presence and shove that mid lane in to allow them to establish dominance around this Dragon area. And D.Va now runs in. D.Va maybe overextending slightly. The Cyclone will not hit. Girish is... Oh my word, Girish. You are just so weak. Takes a huge amount of damage. Nice kick by Demo. Big kick by Demo into the middle of the Bulldog roster. He's had some big performances here, but unfortunately just unable to go much further than that immediate burst damage coming out from Thomas.
I mean, it was huge there. Thomas and Demo working really well in tandem, but it's just not enough. They win the fight, but Blue Spirits is still unchallenged, and as a result, can't go further. Dragon going to be secured by Munster. They now have the Soul. Darius loves this. Blue Spirits honestly loves this as well. Movement speed for Aphelios never going to complain, especially after you ult. And TF as well, once you Destiny in. You can, in fact, you can just pop Destiny, get the vision, get the extra movement speed. It's the easiest one to proc in that scenario, so... It's very much a win more Dragon. It's not giving you the extra raw stats, so you're doing more damage. But when you're already got enough damage on your team, it's making you get in position better and more effectively. So Munster going to feel even more difficult to deal with. Now, the Baron isn't going to be up to be used anymore. There's another 2 minutes and 45 seconds before the next one spawns. The Bulldog really have that much time before they need to find a way to contest this team. Because I think if you give over the next Baron, things start to look really rough.
Absolutely. Aphelios now 3 items as well. Like you said, the Death Dance has been completed. Although the Death Dance is there for Kera, I mean, I still favor DBL in those side lane trades, especially with the Sterex Gauge completed also. Not enough raw health built up for Kera, I think, to really go effectively toe-to-toe with that Darius ultimate just yet.
You got to remember, the resistances don't really come into play when you get ulted by DBL.
I can adjust that. They don't come into play. It's the true damage always is going to be a pain. But obviously, when you're playing this Volibear, you don't naturally build a huge amount of health because you go for that more Triforce, Death Dance orientated approach.
And you do get free health from your ultimate.
That's true. You do get free health from your ultimate. That always helps.
Munster trying to maintain control around this Baron area just for leading up to when it spawns, and Bulldog doing their best to contest it. And actually, being a Cloud Soul map, this benefits DBL quite a lot. Because one of the big issues is he has no teleport. But because you have the Cloud Shrines in the jungle, he can actually rotate faster than he would otherwise. So, if he does need to rotate over, he will do that a bit faster. But now, though, they're just looking to apply pressure in 3 lanes, keep Bulldog pushed back, and look to transition this into just complete control of the Baron area. If anyone steps up, you have the Destiny to try and look for an initial pick with the CC.
I tell you what, that you can see what Bulldog's strategy is here. They are just funneling everything onto Thomas. Just trying to get him towards that. I mean, probably the death cap he's looking for right now. I guess that's where he's aiming. No Name's trying to threaten the tier 2 dive in this situation. Goes for the ultimate, but unfortunately the follow-up's just not there. Demo dives in once more. Again, looking for the kick. Will dive out again there as well. On the backline, Kera going in. Has that ultimate available. Dives straight onto the backline, and Thomas still untouched. This is actually a big fight for Bulldog. The damage actually coming through is enough, as No Name trades on the side lane. Still a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but they're going to be able to kite DBL away, you feel, as he's trying his best with that Sterex Gauge. But Kera on that front line, able to do what he can. The barrel from No Name will trade 2 for 2 overall, but that's a positive fight for Bulldog.
Absolutely is. I mean, I don't know what the game plan was with No Name. Oh, look at that speed!
Oh my god, Diva's going for it! Goes for the gold card, it's big, and Kera will lose his life because of it. There's the Destiny coming through. Beautiful from Diva, really beautiful, and the damage now with that Rabadon's Death Cap and the Lich Bane is too much for Thomas to trade back against. They are making sure they don't get too close to that poison, but they should be able to trade up against the Cassiopeia, who is both low on mana and also low on damage.
And that now just means Baron, essentially, for Munster. They can even reset before they go for it. But, I mean, I was thinking, great fight for Bulldog. Beautifully played. They started off, the ult gets max value from Jacob, and then when DBL came in, Demo instantly kicked him away. I'm like, okay, Diva's looking to reset, and then he just TPs in, and obviously the change to TP where you get extra movement speed from it, insane. Just zooming down after everyone. It's pretty hilarious, in all honesty. But yeah, really heads up play, and they managed to translate that into that Baron. It's a minute 40 till the Elder as well. Things are looking really positive for Munster to close this one out. Bulldog can't give over Baron and Elder, or the game is just over.
Feels like it's almost that way anyway. And we are waiting for the Rabadons for the Cassiopeia. I think they're going to be...
Even now has his as well, so needing that to match up.
Yeah, he had it on that previous teleport too. You know, that's where the huge damage coming up from Twisted Fate now.
Yeah.
He really starts to scale up in terms of that single target damage output. If Thomas can get this before the Elder Dragon, there may be a hope in hell that the Bulldog can come out on top in one of these fights. But you just can't help but feel the damage output is just so poor, especially with the lack of souls that the Senna seems to have right now. She really doesn't feel like she's doing much in these fights.
Yeah, I wonder how many souls Jacob is actually on now.
I guess we can have a look in a moment. Not a good start for Girish here. Cyclone just to try and get away from that, but the damage already done. 30 seconds until the Dragon fight, and they have already burnt a pretty influential team fight ultimate here from Bulldog.
Absolutely, and just makes things even worse than they already were. And they weren't in a good spot before. D.Va now level 18 on this Twisted Fate. Blue Spirits level 16. Not just the goal, but the experience discrepancies as well. Huge. And Demo's looking for something.
I mean, Demo looked very desperate there. He's going to kick D.Va away as well. He was trying to go for the engage. Kera dives in, will actually trade back, but the rest of Bulldog just not in a position to actually capitalize. Losing D.Va is pretty big, but Blue Spirits is kind of the main target that you're focusing on.
He's going to back off, give up the inhibitor, hope to defend the base. It shouldn't be able to end right now with Thomas Go up and available. Actually pretty ambitious if they try this. The wave's small. Huge ult though.
Oh my word, Thomas and...
Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Thomas and Demo and Kera going down here. Jacob losing his life as well. Munster Rugby Gaming Academy absolutely explode into the base, taking the Nexus with them. That'll be a win for them, making them 3-2 in the standings and 0-5 for Bulldog.
We'll have to see for Bulldog, and ultimately the change from Demo wasn't enough, and you can see why they put him into this roster, often looking like he was the initiator for these plays. When things were looking sort of dire, he was starting these fights, and often they had some decent results considering how far behind they were, but it just wasn't enough. I think ultimately one quick fix of switching a player out isn't enough to fix this Bulldog roster completely. There's still going to be work that needs to be done, but Munster just looking more and more like a more formidable team. I think as a whole, they're performing well, and D.Va right now is looking like the best mid in the league. Really solid performance all around, and there's really heads at play of when to apply pressure. That reset into the teleport from TF was huge as well. It's just positive stuff again from Munster.
Yeah, and what an explosive finish. Caught me off guard. I just did not think that they were going to go for the end there. You could hear it. I was like, oh, I don't even know what to say. They've just completely stormed through Bulldog. And what I will say is I think I feel like I saw glimmers of a Bulldog that is capable, right? Especially with Demo there. I think all said and done, I genuinely feel like Demo was the right move, or at least that was a good kind of thing for them to do. Because it felt like, even though there was maybe some moments where Demo went a little bit too far, he was looking to be proactive. He was looking to make plays. And I think that's what Bulldog needed. I just think they needed someone that's going to be a catalyst for proactivity, and that's what Demo was there. But unfortunately, it was just too much to come back from in that game. They were losing pretty much every lane realistically, and that was just it's kind of difficult to get into the game when you're in that position.
Yeah, and I will say that I'd rather a jungler go too aggressive, force too much, and it backfired, than them in those situations sit back and do nothing. There was a lot more life in this Bulldogs. They didn't win, but Bulldog definitely showed a lot more. So I have to give credit to them for that. And hopefully, as much as it's been a rough 2.5 weeks, if they can get a win tomorrow, or even just keep the luck improving, we could see them at least find some footing before the end of the season. For now, Munster just looking more and more dominant. Really hyped for No Name. I think that ult at the end was really crisp. D.Va has looked solid. And I think overall, just the whole team has looked formidable. All in all, I think Blue Spirits on the Aphelios looking really good in that situation. So just credit them all. I think every player sort of performed at least reasonably well in that game, if not better.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Blue Spirits has been an interesting one for me because he is someone that really came out of nowhere towards the beginning of this year. I remember casting him in a 1v1 tournament where he won in the UK, and I feel like that was the platform. That was the platform to kind of elevate Blue Spirits. I believe he played a lot in the Newell in beforehand, and he kind of just, this is that.
You know what he learned? He learned that why play 1v1 when you can pick Aphelios and play 1v3.
There you go. I mean, but irrespective, that's been an interesting career progression for him to go from that tournament to then have that platform for success. Like I said, I think he was part of the Newell before that. I think he'd played a lot of Newell games before that. But yeah, to see him go from what I in my eyes was a meme, like I thought it was a meme tournament, like it like Boaster was playing in it, for instance. You know, a bit of a meme tournament, but it was. But he like that as a platform for success. You know, that's great to see as well. And obviously having success on Munster Rugby Gaming Academy. I'll be interested to chat to him. I believe he's the guy that we've got for an interview, so I'll be interested to chat to him about what it's been like making that kind of move, because he's one of the few people that have had like a pretty quick shoe in to this kind of level of play, and I guess we get to sort of hear about his journey in that respect too. But Munster Rugby Gaming Academy definitely looking a bit more solid, I would say, off the back of that game. Diva, I am very impressed with. Like you said, he really is for me the guy that we should be keeping our eyes on in terms of mid lane talent coming out of the UKLC, because he's been impressive. Yeah,
definitely. And I think as much as it didn't have the greatest start to the split, being 2-2 compared to some teams with 3-1, it's not far behind. They've caught up a lot of ground in this game, because now I believe we have, I think, 5 teams, is it? Tied at 3-2? It's a lot. Basically, M&M on 3-2, Barrage on 3-2, Bulldog on 3-2. Everyone else is 3-2. We have 5 teams at 3-2, so very close. But I think Munster have been on an upswing, so I think they are looking like they could sort of push up, challenge teams like London and Enclave, who are honestly looking a little bit sloppy at the moment, and keep pushing. And I like this roster because there's a lot of sort of new faces to the league. No Name being more for rookie talent, Blue Spirits, as you said, DBL. Obviously, we've seen Diva before, but it's sort of him having a sort of revitalized life in him with this new roster, and it's just positive to see. So, got a lot of hopes for them, and I hope they continue to grow.
Yeah, agreed. And just obviously reviewing today's games. Actually, I think we might have Blue Spirits ready to chat to us. So if he's there, we can have a little chat to Blue Spirits.
Hello. Hi,
Blue Spirits. Last time I saw you was the Red Bull 1v1 tournament, which you ended up winning in the UK. I'm kind of really interested, because for me, that seems like an incredible journey for you to have gone from essentially playing what I would say kind of for fun. I think you played for Newell before that, right? And then going into the 1v1 tournament, which, you know, admittedly 1v1 tournaments can be a bit of a meme. But then to go from that to here, what has that journey been like? Like, what did you do to get from there to here?
I don't really know. Like, I just played League and then made a Twitter account. And then, like, my friend Hudson, he helped me a lot, I guess, to, like, even know that there was a UK scene. I didn't even like know there was one. And then like I guess that's it really. Like he just like kind of helped me to like do everything. And I think Officer Naughty really helped a lot too. From like the boot camp session I had with Eminem. So yeah, like thanks to them for getting me to UKLC, I guess. I think.
So how has it been sort of playing in a team environment compared to playing, you know, in the 1v1s or in solo queue?
Well, 1v1s were a lot less pressure, I think, because if I let anyone down, it would have been myself, right? Yeah. But like 5v5s, I thought would be more pressure because obviously if I int, I let my team down. But like everyone's so nice. Like if I int, it's like whatever, and then the coach will just shout at me after the game or something. It's like, you know, it's like whatever. The team doesn't care. They're just, you know, happy that I'm playing Aphelios when he's meta or whatever. So.
Okay, so looking at Munster Rugby Gaming Academy, you guys obviously have your sister team up in the NLC. Do you have much interaction with them? Do you have much in terms of scrims or a sort of, I guess, mentoring?
Well, actually, we do have a lot of communications with them. Like, there's like a bunch of channels. So one of them's like #ADC, and Unforgiven is like always just like posting questions and like stuff like that on it. And then the Wise Traveler like fills in like information that we could possibly use for like the current patch and just everything like that. And like, well, Unforgiven's like always like giving me some tips and stuff. And like, I actually play Cassio because of him. Like he was the one that was like, oh, you should pick it up. It's like a really good pick. And like, not today, but like last week or whenever it was, I did end up playing Cassio because of him. So yeah, like we actually have like, being on Munster, there's like a lot of benefits, and the biggest one is probably getting help from like Unforgiven and the Wise Traveler and just like the coaching and everything. So yeah, sorry if that didn't answer the question. I think I sidetracked. Yeah.
No, it was a good answer. Anyway, sort of shone a lot of light on the benefits from being in that situation. One thing I was going to ask: do you think competitive suits you quite a bit? I've noticed that more than any other marksman, you've been willing to play mages. Do you think that's like a big strength you've sort of been able to offer to the role?
I guess so. Like, I think like anything that goes bot lane, I'll play it because I used to be a mid main. So like I've like already got mastery level 5 on every champion that's a mid laner. So not that matters, but like I'm comfortable on mages because it's my secondary role, and like if I can play it my primary role, why not? You know, like double the fun, I guess.
And actually, just last question. This might be a hard one to answer, but what are your aspirations like as a player? Now you're at this situation, like where do you want to be?
Well, so my initial goal was UKLC.
Well done, good job.
Well done. Might as well pack up and go home.
Yeah, true. I'm already at home actually, so don't need to pack up. But yeah, no, like my initial goal was that, but then like the whole like NLC thing changed and stuff. And so like maybe I'm like thinking big, but like I would like to be in NLC one day. Like this is just my second split. And like I've already learned so much like being on Munster. Like it's actually crazy how much I've learned. Yeah, like honestly I didn't know this much last split. But yeah, like probably I would like to see myself in NLC, like not next split. I think that's unreasonable, because like having seen like NLC like ADCs and stuff, obviously Unforgiven's an example. Like I definitely cannot compete, and like our in-houses like versus the main team have definitely shown that. Like we actually get stomped in like 15 minutes, and it's like we don't even have to FF because they're at our Nexus. So yeah.
Look, I mean, I think you're being a bit hard on yourself, Blue Spirits. You've already come an incredibly long way already. I mean, you've been a kind of almost like a semi-meteoric rise from where you were last year. So you don't put yourself down. I'm sure you've got a bright future. Thank you so much, mate, for joining us. Congratulations for the win, obviously, and we hope to see you continue to do well. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Oh, it's good to hear from Blue Spirits. He's such a ridiculously wholesome person. Right, let's take a look at today's standings then. Let's have a look at how this has affected the overall shake-up of the UKLC. You can see, as we said, M&M take that clear spot at the top. We have a joint second all the way down. There are 5 teams in joint second here at 3 and 2 in the standings. And then Barrage and Bulldog hanging around at the bottom. Obviously, Bulldog yet to pick up a win.
We came in today with 4 teams at 3-1, and I was like, well, at least we're going to get some clarity after today. At least we're going to get some separation. And now we have even less with 5 teams neck and neck. And, you know, I'm making it sound like it's a bad thing, but in all honesty, I just love the fact that it feels like every team is pushing to be at the top. Every team is challenging. Barrage look completely revitalized. And as much as Bulldog still haven't got a win, they did look like they had life today. And then everyone else has just been really having some great moments. Some obviously having some not so good moments, but I'm just enjoying how everyone seems to be fighting, and it really feels like it could go in any direction. I don't think there's a single team you could, like at the end of the split, I would rule out of at least making playoffs and being a strong contender. Obviously, some teams do need a bit more changes to get there, but I think everyone's still in this contest, which is good to see in week 3. You don't want teams to already feel like, oh, well, they're just doomed. So
agree.
Just positive.
All right, let's take a look at tomorrow's matches. We have another day of the UKLC this week, and that will be tomorrow. Demise versus Enclave kicking things off. London versus M&M after that, and then Bulldog versus Barrage. Followed up with Envision versus Munster. A lot of good games on the cards. Bulldog versus Barrage will be good. Envision versus Munster. London versus M&M. I think every game is looking pretty spicy tomorrow. So I think Demise against Enclave will be interesting if Enclave can bounce back. I think that's sort of a big one for me, because if they can show they're back to the form, it's important. M&M versus London. You asked me at the start of the split, I'm like, well, that's London. But you asked me now, I'm like, M&M probably just going to take that one. Barrage versus Bulldog was going to be the battle of teams with 0 wins, but Barrage got their win, are looking good, but Bulldog still have a chance to keep showing up. They did show life today. And then Envision Munster, I just think that one, both teams have got a lot of rising stars, a lot of young talent, so I'm super keen on that one. I mean,
That's the thing, is I feel like we haven't had a boring game today. I don't think we're gonna have one yesterday. It feels really hard to predict because teams are just changing week in, week out. And I'm not talking about just the roster swaps we've had, just the way they're playing, the level they're at as well. It's just great to see.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap up the first day this week, though. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. We will be back tomorrow at the same time, same place to kick off those 4 matches. We'll see you then.